So I hope that you've watched the first activity that I posted for you, which is an activity that I did with young kindergarten early in the year about making bubbles. And so I gave you 2 different bubble recipes. I did one of them. I tested it out, and it worked. I was really quite proud of myself about how well it worked. And I also left you the instructions on how to make it in the seesaw activity itself. Well, I wanted to give you an extension for that, because if you looked in the video, it was pretty warm out. It was sunny. There was no snow. You couldn't see my breath. All those things. It is really cold right now. You can see my breath. I am really, really cold. In fact, I just checked. It is 20 degrees out. Chilly. I should probably bundle up a little bit more. But I want to be able to do a fun experiment with you. So here we go. So I don't know if you know, but water can freeze. And when water freezes, what does it turn into? It turns into ice, right? And I can see actually a bunch of ice around me, where it looks like there have been some puddles of water that have then frozen into some puddles of ice, right? Some nice, clear, slippery, dangerous ice. So it got me thinking about bubbles. What happens if you blow bubbles out in the freezing cold? Well, bubbles are made from water, from soap, and in my recipe, also sugar. So if you made your own bubble recipe, you might have 2 cups of bubbles, just like I did. And so I made some more bubbles today. And I used in the last video I did, it was a blue dish soap. This one was a clear dish soap. So this is some of it that I made. This is about a cup of it, half of what I made. And this is what I got. Okay. And so again, water freezes at a certain temperature. When the temperature gets to 32 degrees Fahrenheit or below, water will freeze and it will turn to ice eventually. Not immediately, but eventually it is cold enough so it will turn to ice. So if I leave water bubbles out, will they freeze as a bubble? And can I freeze a bubble? I know I can freeze this. I know if I leave this outside, I'm pretty sure this will freeze. But I want to freeze a bubble. I don't want to just freeze the bubble solution. So we got to figure out how to make that work. So first, let's see if it's cold enough. And it is really cold. I'm really, really cold. Let's see if we can freeze some bubbles here when I blow them. Okay, so I've got my bubble solution in a bubble blower. And let's see. Ready? All right, here we go. They are staying as bubbles. So those are bubbles. It's really good bubble solution this time around. I mixed it really gently but well. But they're bubbles, and they float apparently onto my computer screen, a few of them, and then they pop. So the bubbles, as soon as they touch something, they're popping. So I need to provide some way where the bubbles won't pop immediately. So this is what I came up with. You could do this with any little dish, and I have a little petri dish from my lab, and I'm going to carefully, my fingers are getting numb and things are getting harder. So let's put this down to the petri dish, and I'm going to try and carefully pour some of my bubble solution in here. Okay, just like that. Now, I've got some bubbles here, and I want a bubble to stay there. So here's what I'm going to try. I'm going to take a straw, and I'm not going to suck in. I don't want to eat the bubbles, drink the bubbles, but I am going to blow some bubbles. I'm going to blow through the straw and see if that works. So I've got a bubble there, and as long as I can keep the wind from popping it, maybe I can keep the bubble there. Let's see if maybe I can make some more. That's a pretty big one. I'm a little nervous that one might pop. Well, let's leave that there. And let's... Do I want to leave that one there, or do I want to make some more in this one? Maybe I want to make some more. I'm going to double my efforts here. We're going to blow some bubbles in this one too, and I'll leave that outside as well. That made some great bubbles. That one's really good. So there's a lot of bubbles there too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause our video, and I'm going to leave our bubbles here. And I'll try and put them in a protected spot where they're not as much wind. And as I'm talking, I'm not sure if you noticed this, these bubbles are starting to pop a little bit. But this one's holding pretty strong. And it just popped. So maybe big bubbles aren't the answer. Because big bubbles are larger and they're catching a lot of wind, and that wind is actually what's popping the bubbles, oddly enough, because it's pushing it against the side. So what if when it touches a part that doesn't have soap on it, that's kind of what's making it pop. Like just what happened. So I'm going to try and coat this with soap, the whole side of it. And then I can barely feel my fingers. Then I'm going to blow a few small bubbles. Let's see. Let's try that. Let's see. All right. So I've got 3 smaller bubbles. Okay. And most of my bubbles in this one are gone, actually. So let's try this one more time. Let's try and leave that. All right. Now, because I can't feel my fingers, I am going to pause this, and then I'm going to come back out here, and let's say maybe 10 minutes and see what happens. I keep saying I'm going to pause it, but I'm watching the bubbles. I can almost see an interesting, thick, cloudy feature to these bubbles. Now, it's hard to see in the screen, but there's almost a cloudy part here and on this side. And I think, you know what, friends? I think the bubble over here is starting to freeze. Whoa! Did you see that? The bubble's still up. It has popped, but there's still a frozen part of the bubble there. That's still just standing and holding up there. We totally just froze a bubble. We did it! We did it. I'm not surprised the bubble's frozen, to be honest with you, because my fingers are frozen and I have gloves on. But that bubble has popped, but we can still see part of it. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to blow some more bubbles. There we go. There's a bunch of bubbles. I'll leave those there, and I can already see them starting to freeze. It must be colder than I thought, because they are definitely starting to freeze. So if you try this at home, wear thicker gloves. Definitely don't stay out too long. I've been outside for almost 10 minutes now, and that's enough. I think that's good. But we can totally freeze bubbles. And if you see this bubble right here, that one has frozen. This one has frozen. And these aren't quite frozen yet. So if I pop these, you can still see this has some left to it. So enjoy the first video. I hope you did. Make your own bubble solution. Maybe you have just bubble solution at home, but it's fun to make your own if you have the ingredients. And then if you can bundle up nice and warm, take your bubble solution outside, blow some bubbles, and see if you can freeze some bubbles. Just like this one here. All right, friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy your snow day. I'm going to go inside and I'm going to warm up. Bye.